Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. In this video, we're going to talk about rededications, dedications, and opposition to temples. So there's a lot of interesting things going on right now. I got an email from Ryan B. Andersen, subject line, Manti Temple dedication / parable of the 10 virgins. Hi Jared, thought this personal insight might interest you, Ryan. And then he gave me a link to his personal Facebook account. And he has this post from 2 days ago, April 28th. Last Sunday, April 21st at 5 p.m., the Manti, Utah temple was rededicated for the work of the Lord. It has been closed for renovation for the past 2.5 years and has been sorely missed. To accommodate all who wanted to be part of this dedication service, because not everyone would fit in the temple itself, it was broadcast to all the chapels in the 23 stakes that compose the Manti Temple district. Just really quick, the only temple dedications I ever was part of or witnessed was the Palmyra Temple in the Nauvoo Temple, and it was in this way where it was broadcast. Is this a typical thing for most temples? Because I don't know. I guess the next one I'm going to experience is the Wichita Temple whenever that's built and dedicated. But anyway, that's interesting. Okay, so we were advised that for this sacred service, each chapel would be an extension of the temple, and that all who attended would need a temple recommend, and there would be someone at each door to check recommends. So this is what they did with the Nauvoo and the Palmyra temple dedications, but it was church-wide. This announcement was given far enough in advance so there was enough time for everyone who didn't already have a temple recommend to get one. Okay, now it's getting serious here. We were told further that temple reverence would be required, that once we were inside the building, we would sit quietly and contemplate the sacred and holy nature of what was to take place. We were also told to plan ahead and give ourselves ample time to be seated a half hour before the service began. The doors would be closed and locked at 4:30, and no one would be admitted after that. You see where this is headed. Okay. It reminded me of the parable of the 10 virgins. All were invited and told what was required, and all were given time to prepare, but there was a deadline. It would not be extended. If you hadn't used your time wisely and prepared yourself well in advance, and you were not ready at the appointed time, the doors were shut, and you were not permitted to come in. The day of this life is the time to prepare to meet God. Do not procrastinate the day of your repentance, for the night cometh wherein no labor can be performed. You are given time to prepare, but there is a point at which, if you are not ready, it will be too late. Yeah, I totally agree. And this is a really good, I think, depiction of what it's going to be like at the second coming. So with the second coming, we know that you have to at least be living a terrestrial life, following a terrestrial law to move forward into the millennium. If you're not, then you're going to be considered among the wicked and go to the spirit world. But in addition to that, there's this idea of the marriage feast, which isn't simply being worthy to move on into the millennium. It's something more than that. And as far as I can tell through my studies, it has to do with being caught up to meet the Lord in the clouds and be part of special events, right? One of those events probably being Adam on Diamond, and other things. And so that is something that you don't want to miss out on. It's something that you're going to want to participate in and be counted as the Lord's. He needs to be able to recognize us as his, is what President Holland said this last General Conference. So we don't want to be at that point where it's like, oh, okay, time's up. Sorry. Like you had good intentions, you were trying, but you didn't get there soon enough. You didn't make sufficient progress within the time allotted. So yeah, I think that we should take that very seriously. And this is a pretty vivid depiction of what that's probably going to be like. So let's all be prepared, go to church, get on the covenant path if you aren't already, and then stay on it, return to it if you've left. And then let's try and master those things that were taught to us on the Mount of Olives and how we should treat each other and what a true disciple of Christ looks like. Okay, so he mentioned the rededication of the Manti, Utah temple, and I have that here on my spreadsheet called Timeline Second Coming. There's more things I need to add on here, but so that was on the 21st of April. And then 7 days later, we had the dedication of the Urdaneta, Philippines temple. And I want to talk about that next. Before I do, just really quick, I partially updated the Flood the Earth challenge. I still have more comments and emails to go through. So if I haven't responded to you yet, I'm getting to it. Just give me some time. And then if it's been like weeks and I haven't acknowledged your email or your comment, then let me know. Because by that point, I should have already seen it. And I always acknowledge any report of a Book of Mormon having been shared. So after updating it this last time, we're at 8,796 copies of the Book of Mormon shared. So we're about to cross over to 8,800. And we're trying to get to 10,000. And then we've had 4 more people join the challenge, which brings us to 1,005. I think that the next goal, and I know that this is like a lot, but I think that we can do it. This is a long-term project. Okay. It's a long-term project. So I think the next thing that we should shoot for, the next goal for number of people participating should be 5,000. I was trying to get to 5,000. And then once we get to 10,000 copies of the Book of Mormon shared, we'll pick a new goal for that. Okay. So good job, everybody. Just remember, this is the best way to change the world, to fix the problems in the world, is to bring people the gospel of Jesus Christ and introduce them to the church. Okay, so let's get back to this. Okay, so we have this right here. President Oaks dedicates Urdaneta, Philippines temple. And what I didn't know until I read these articles is that, look at this. It has the dates right here. That President Oaks and Sister Oaks, they lived in the Philippines for 2 years. They were like on a special mission there, sent there by President Hinckley. And I did not know that. They lived there for 2 years. He essentially served a special mission as an apostle in the Philippines. And so that's why he dedicated this temple. But as I was reading through this, I saw this part. Temples strengthen the land in which they are built. And so like in addition to that, in addition to strengthening the land, and they strengthen the people who enter them to do the work of the Lord, said President Oaks. And that made me think back to this video that I did a long time ago, trying to get down to, trying to clarify things that I've heard in the past where like wherever a temple is built, the power of Satan is less in that area. And I wasn't able to really get down to like authoritative sources on that. Just generally, you know, when you have more people going to the temple, there's more light in the world. And yes, the power of Satan is reduced, generally speaking, throughout the world, because more and more people are being armed with the armor of God by going to the temple, and they come out with the glory of God with them. That's the conclusion that we came to in that video. But I think this kind of lends credit to the idea that having temples physically present in certain areas actually has in effect just the temple being there itself. And it does probably have to do with the people as well, the people that come out. But so I added this to my spreadsheet, quotes A through Z, currently on row 214, temples, adversary. And we're going to read some of these quotes because it has to do with the effect of temples on the world and how Satan looks at this and the opposition to temples. So this is my newest quote. The most recent quotes are on the left, and then the older quotes are further to the right on my spreadsheet, in case you didn't know. So really quick, we're gonna go through those quotes, but before I do, I noticed that there was this going on right now. This has been making the news, at least on X, and now like it's making even bigger news. There's a volcano down near the Philippines that is erupting right now, and it's really big. Thousands evacuated amid tsunami threat as Indonesian volcano erupts again. So here it is. I'm going to show you some video of it. In short, Indonesian authorities are working to evacuate 12,000 people as volcano erupts again. It is the second time this month the Ruang volcano has erupted. What's next? Authorities remain on alert for a tsunami that could be triggered by the eruption. Now, as of right now, and let me just refresh this just to make sure, you have these buoys out in the ocean that are there to try and detect incoming tsunamis, and right now none of them are in event mode. Just so you can see where this volcano is, I put it on Google Earth. Right, so here's Indonesia down here, but the volcano, relatively speaking, is kind of close to the Philippines, which is right here. So you have like this island chain of the Philippines, and then just immediately south to it is this volcano that's going off. The temple that was just dedicated is up here. It's freezing right now. It's not letting me. Oh, there we go. Is this one right here at the top of this island chain? Here it is right here. Urdaneta Philippines Temple. So it's like on the opposite side, you have this volcano going off. I just think that's interesting. You know, I always look at coincidences like this. They may not be so coincidental as we think sometimes. It's just kind of strange. Let me show you some of the images of this. It looks like basically like a nuclear bomb went off. This is from Volcaholic. More incredible video of Ruang in Indonesia erupting. Breathtakingly terrifying. Yeah, I'll say. It kind of reminds me of the volcano that went off at the beginning of 2022 near Tonga, which to this date, unless something changed, and I don't think anything has because I would have picked up on it, at the beginning of 2022, the underwater or the undersea volcano that went off near Tonga is the largest explosion that we have according to modern records or detected by modern instruments. And that includes nuclear bombs. The largest explosion on Earth that we've detected with modern instruments happened at the beginning of 2022. And it was pretty spectacular. I've done videos about it. There was a miracle that took place. You know that Tonga, percentage-wise, has the highest percentage of Latter-day Saints within its population. It's like 63% or something like that. So I did a video about that. You can look it up. But this is looking kind of somewhat similar. It's pretty massive. Let's go to this one. This is a closer view. And that is not something that you want to see outside your window. Right? Here it is from space. This is from Zoom Earth. And it looks kind of similar to that Tongan volcano. I think this is going to end up being smaller. I haven't seen any news saying that it's like really huge, but maybe it's too soon to say. Here it is at night. And then here it is with a bunch of lightning, you know, in the ash cloud. And that's pretty terrifying. That looks like something out of a movie. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know that it means anything that you have this temple that's dedicated, and then on the opposite side, you have this crazy volcano going off that could lead to a tsunami, or it may have more eruptions. But it's just interesting. I don't know if Satan has control of some of these events, and it's kind of like his opposition to the temple. But that leads into talking into temple opposition. My friend Troy with the Last Dispensation channel, he did a video about this, how there's been opposition with the new temple that's going to be in Vegas. It's called what was it called again? The Lone Mountain Nevada Temple. I think that's what it's going to be called. It's going to be on the west side of Las Vegas. So the previous temple is like on the far east, like up against the mountain. So this is going to service like the western part of the valley. But, you know, there's opposition, which is not uncommon. But there's a story here from 8 News Now, CBS, and you can look into that. And there's like a video. I watched it, and you can hear the locals expressing their concerns about the temple. And we've heard it before. But there is like this opposition to temples. And let me just read some of these quotes. Let's go to the very beginning. This is the first quote that I know of that talks about opposition to the temple. This first one is from Brigham Young. At this point, president of the church. It can be found in Journal of Discourses, Volume 8, pages 355 to 356. One thing in particular, let me say to you, in all your transactions in these public matters, do not do unless you want to. As we say to the saints, do not pay tithing unless you want to. Do not help to build up this temple unless you want to. Do not put forth your hands to one day's work unless you want to. Do not put forth your hands to help build the 70s hall unless you want to. If you grudgingly put forth your means to help gather the saints, it will be a curse to you. It will be mildew, and every effort you make will wither in your possession. If you do not wish to help, let it alone. But if you really want to help gather the saints, turn out with your teams as you agree to. If you wish this temple built, go to work and do all you can this season. Some say, I do not like to do it, for we never began to build the temple without the bells of hell beginning to ring. I want to hear them ring again. All the tribes of hell will be on the move if we uncover the walls of this temple. But what do you think it will amount to? You have all the time seen what it has amounted to. I can say for my comfort and consolation, and for yours too, that we did build 2 temples and commenced another. We completed a temple in Kirtland and in Nauvoo, and did not the bells of hell toll all the time we were building them? They did, every week and every day. For our consolation, I will say, we are here and not there. You cannot ride from here to Carthage in Hancock County, Illinois, before breakfast if you try, and everyone that now tries to come from Warsaw or Carthage to the headquarters of quote-unquote Mormonism will have to put more crackers in their pockets than they used to. What did they accomplish? They magnified the work of the Lord in the eyes of the nations. They are more afraid of our union than of any other power. They are afraid of the God that is within us. If that union and power of God is with 10 men, they fear that in them more than they fear 100,000 men that are not united. We are here, and I am satisfied. So he goes over the concept of unity, which is Zion. Zion is one in heart and one in mind, right? And that there's power in unity. There's opposition to temples, and essentially, whenever your enemy is digging a pit for you, like you being a righteous person, you being a covenant person in the church, that when Satan and his followers try and dig a pit for the church, they themselves fall into it. Does that make sense? Here it says there was all this opposition to the temple, but what it amounted to was magnifying the work of the Lord in the eyes of the nations. Okay, and I think that's a principle, not just for the church as a whole, but for you as an individual, that when you live righteously, you do what you're supposed to do, you turn the other cheek, you walk away from contention, you don't add to it, defending yourself only when necessary. But as you live righteously, your enemies will try and trap you and dig pits for you. But if you don't engage with them and you don't add to the chaos, you don't fight fire with fire, they end up basically digging a pit for themselves and they fall into it. I've seen that a number of times in my life. Okay, the next one is from George Q. Cannon. At the time, he was in the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, but he did go on to become first counselor in the first presidency. And he says, every foundation stone that is laid for a temple, and every temple completed according to the order the Lord has revealed for his holy priesthood, lessens the power of Satan on the earth, and increases the power of God and godliness, moves the heavens in mighty power in our behalf, invokes and calls down upon us the blessings of the eternal gods, and those who reside in their presence. There is no doubt whatever of this in my mind. And those who have engaged in this work today must certainly have felt it, the spirit and power of it. There has been a holy influence here. Angels have been here. The presence of our Father, too, with all his faithful servants who have stood firm, steadfast, and true while they were here upon the earth. And every person present who has been prepared to receive it has been filled with it. We are engaged in that great work, which will in time result in the complete overthrow of the power of Satan upon the earth and of all those evil influences, all of that misrule and oppression, and of all the wickedness that now causes earth itself to groan and all its inhabitants to mourn. We are engaged in the work that will sweep evil from off the face of the earth and establish the reign of peace and of truth and of righteousness, where the honest and the meek and the lowly shall have their rights, and none dare molest or make them afraid. Put a period there. So, yeah, you can see Satan doesn't like it. He doesn't like temples. It decreases his power. So you can see how he would try and stir things up and prevent temples from being built. Okay, the next one. This is from Gordon B. Hinckley, at the time, second counselor in the first presidency. This is from the October 1985 General Conference in a talk called Rejoice in This Great Era of Temple Building. Temple building and the dedication of temples have gone on at such a pace in the last few years that some pay little attention and feel it is of small significance. Of course, always. But the adversary has not been unmindful of it. The building and dedication of these sacred edifices have been accompanied by a surge of opposition from a few enemies of the church, as well as criticism from a few within. Of course. This has brought to mind a statement of Brigham Young in 1861 while the Salt Lake Temple was under construction. Evidently, when someone with previous experience was asked to work on the Salt Lake Temple, he responded, "I do not like to do it, for whenever we began to build the temple without for we never began to build the temple without the bells of hell beginning to ring." To which Brigham Young replied, "I want to hear them ring again. All the tribes of hell will be on the move if we uncover the walls of this temple. But what do you think it will amount to? You have all the time seen what it has amounted to." Yes, in these recent times we have felt much of opposition, but we have also noted the frustration of those who have tried to stop this work. We have been strengthened, and we have moved forward under the promise of the Lord, who said, "I will not suffer that the enemy shall destroy my work. Yea, I will show unto them that my wisdom is greater than the cunning of the devil." Okay, we have Elder David A. Bednar of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. This would be the April 2009 General Conference, a talk called Honorably Hold a Name in Standing. We live in a great day of temple building around the world, and the adversary surely is mindful of the increasing number of temples that now dot the earth. As always, the building and dedicating of these sacred structures are accompanied by opposition from enemies of the church, as well as by ill-advised criticism from some within the church. I personally haven't seen this, you guys. Have you seen it? Like people in the church that don't want temples built, or they criticize the building of temples. I haven't seen it personally, but if you have, let me know in the comments below, because that is so bizarre. It's so bizarre. But it's so interesting how closely this statement that we just read mirrors what President Hinckley said back in 1985. I'm going to skip down. Please consider these verses in light of the current raging of the adversary and what we have discussed about our willingness to take upon us the name of Jesus Christ and the blessing of protection. Promise those who honorably hold a name in standing in the holy temple. Yeah, see, that's a big problem. Protection from the temple. Satan does not want you to be protected. He doesn't want you to make those covenants. He doesn't want you to come out with the glory of God. He doesn't want you to wear the garment of the holy priesthood, right? Significantly, these covenant blessings are to all generations and for all eternity. I invite you to study repeatedly and ponder prayerfully the implications of these scriptures in your life and for your family. We should not be surprised by Satan's efforts to thwart or discredit temple worship and work. The devil despises the purity and the power of the Lord's house, and the protection available to each of us in and through temple ordinances and covenants stands as a great obstacle to the evil designs of Lucifer. So, it's pretty serious. And then here's this most recent one from Dallin H. Oaks. It's not a direct quote, but it's from that article. President Oaks dedicates Urdaneta, Philippines temple. Temples strengthen the land in which they are built and strengthen the people who enter them to do the work of the Lord, said President Oaks. What was interesting this last general conference is that there were 2 times that temple maps were put up, like as a visual during a speaker's talk. One was President Oaks' talk. He put up a temple map. And then I think the other one was Elder Cook or Elder Andersen, I think, or Stevenson. I'm not sure. Let me pull up President Oaks really quick. I should have done this, had this pulled up before. Covenants and Responsibilities is the name of the talk. And I know it's here. Yeah, he puts up this visual of all the temples that are in operation, announced, or under construction. And then I'm going to say Cook. I'm going to look this up really quick. Be one in Christ. It was either him or my next guess is Andersen. Yeah, temples, houses of the Lord, dotting the earth. And he actually put up a graphic of the Philippines, where President Oaks just was. I think this is the first time I've seen in General Conference 2 maps, 2 visuals showing you the number of temples. So in light of what we just read, all these dots right here, this is a really big problem for Satan. So it'll be interesting to see how things go moving forward. But with each temple that's built, his power goes down. So it really feels like things are kind of coming to a head, and I think we know that because the second coming is going to be soon. Let's see, was there anything else? Yeah, so I've updated this with the upcoming temples that have dedication dates. The next one on deck is going to be the Puebla, Mexico temple on the 19th of May. Then we have a few in June, including the Taylorsville, Utah temple, which if I was still living in my hometown, this would now be my temple district, I'm sure, because I'm originally from Murray, Utah. Lived in Taylorsville for a little while. But Coban, Guatemala, Salta, Argentina, Layton, Utah in June. And then we skip forward to September, Pittsburgh, and then Mendoza, Argentina. And then in October, Casper, Wyoming. And then the Salt Lake Temple sometime in 2026. And then once we have new dedication dates set, I'll put them here on my spreadsheet. So I don't know, just really interesting things to think about. It's really important to go to the temple to receive your initiatories and endowments and be sealed as a family. All right, that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.